All right, this is pretty darn cool. Check this out. I'm actually controlling the angle of the camera with my phone. This is the DJI RS4 Pro. This is the DJI RS4, but I have the DJI Raven hooked up to the gimbal, and this allows me to wirelessly control the camera while using the Ronin phone app. All right, what's going on, guys? Aldrin Estacio here with FlytPath.com, and I have the DJI RS4 gimbal. This is the RS4 Pro, and I've actually been using this one since it came out. I think it came out about 6 months or so, and most recently, I finally fitted a bunch of the accessories that come with the RS4 Pro, like the Raven Eye, which I just showed you. Also, I need to test this one out, LiDAR system, as well as there's another handle that I do have. I'm gonna attach to this one. So this is the RS4 Pro. As you can see, Pro meaning it can handle a lot bigger rigs. For most of my gigs, I've been using this one, which is the RS4. As far as the weight capacity, it could take about 6 pounds, 6.5 pounds worth of camera equipment on this gimbal. Anything more than that, then you would step up to this one, which is the RS4 Pro. Right now I have it with the A7R5 with my 50mm 1.2, but I also have it hooked up with the Raven Eye at the very bottom. I have the focus on the side. And for those that don't know, even though I talk a lot about drones and action cameras and camera gear in general, on this channel, I use my RS4 gimbal and use gimbals in general all the time for my work. I do a lot of event videography. I'll also do a bunch of corporate work, and I'll normally have this setup right here, the RS4 with the A7S III, and then I will normally keep my A7R5 on my hip. And I'm actually packing up my gear right now to head out to another event that I'm gonna be shooting. So while I have the gimbals out, just wanted to kind of go through with you guys some of the top features I've really been liking on the new RS4. And I finally got the Focus Pro as well as the Raven Eye all hooked up to it, so I am gonna be taking this with me as well. So once I get back, I'll make sure I do another video just talking about this setup right here. Now the first thing we'll talk about, which is pretty much my favorite thing on this gimbal, and they also had it on the RS3, but it's the ability to lock your motors when you're carrying your gimbal around. Being a run and gun shooter, I'm always moving from one back of the room, moving to the front of the room. And a lot of times I don't want to keep my camera loose like this. So all you have to do is tap the power button, just like that. Now all the motors will lock. So now your camera is nice and secure on all the motors. The motors aren't moving around, and I can actually walk with my gimbal like this, know that the camera's not gonna be flopping around. That locking mechanism is something I use all the time, mainly because I also like to carry my camera with this briefcase style, just like this. So if I want to hold it down, I want to make sure that all of those axes are locked and I know that nothing's going to be moving around and swinging. Then I just set it up, press it, and ready to go again. Next we'll talk about is the ability to switch from horizontal to vertical. Now I know a lot of people don't like shooting vertical, but clients need it or they want it. They want higher quality vertical than just your mobile phone nowadays. And the ability to have a quick plate here that's able to switch, definitely beneficial, so you just can keep one setup and quickly go from horizontal to vertical mode. Press the button, all the axes is locked. Then I'm gonna loosen this up here. That'll actually loosen up the plate. Then I just press the button in the very front, remove it. As you can see, all of it's all still hooked up. And at the very bottom here, you put this right back to where the other one was. Lock that in place and then tighten it up. And there you go. Now I am in vertical mode, and then I can just unlock it. Just that quick. Super simple to go into vertical mode, and then you're just gonna need to rebalance it a little bit. The weight normally shifts just a little bit over to one side, but this way you can have one setup but still be able to shoot highest quality vertical and horizontal. And the next thing I really like about the RS4, speaking of balancing, is that we have all new Teflon coating on all the arms, which makes the balancing a lot easier because it keeps everything nice and smooth when you're trying to make the adjustments. As you can see here, the center is actually not too bad. And let me unlock the roll, and there you go. So it's going to the side just a little bit. Unlock it, and a little bit more. There you go. Super easy because of that coating that's on the arm. It makes adjustments really nice and smooth. The next feature I use the most on this gimbal is the Bluetooth connectivity with my camera. Now what that means is that I'm able to now hook up and connect to my camera by using the screen here in the very back. So if I want to start recording, before with some of the older gimbals, you don't have that connectivity, which means you have to always press the record button here up top. So all you have to do is press record right here on the handle. Once the camera is connected, hit record, and there you go. Now my camera is recording, then I can start and stop just from here. That way you're not sitting here like this and having to reach over, record, and press. The one thing I do like about this screen is that everything is here. So if you wanted to have the gimbal move at the slowest speed as possible, that's kind of what I normally do. I normally like to have really smooth movements. You're able to do that. Then if you're gonna be shooting something that's a little bit faster moving, you're able to change that follow speed here from slow to medium to fast, or you can actually customize it. But now if I want to maybe film a car that's gonna be driving by, I can actually whip across, and you can see the gimbal moving really quick. And then again, if I wanted to follow a person, I can move it over to slow. And then even if I were to go fast, that gimbal reacts a lot slower. And also on the side of the handle, if you want to change your modes, you have 3 different modes. The PTF, the pan, tilt, follow. You have the PF, pan and follow, and also FPV mode. So with pan, tilt, follow, you have all of the axes working with you. So you can actually tilt down, back up. Now if I move it to pan and follow, now even if I tilt forward, the camera still stays straight, and I do have that axis locked here. And then if I want to switch over to FPV, I want a little bit more organic, more fluid movement, I'm able to switch it into FPV mode. And jumping over here to the RS4 Pro, I actually have the Focus Pro hooked up to it. Technically, I can actually hook it up still here, and it'll work the same way, but right now it's just on this rig. But what's really nice is that even though if you have manual lenses and you want to be able to focus it, you don't necessarily have to grab the lens here. You can actually hook up the Focus Pro motor right here on the side. And once you do that, you can use the scroll on the very front of the handle. And as you can see here, as I turn it, the actual lens is focusing right here on the very top. Now what's really nice is that you can use that Focus Pro motor for multiple things. You don't necessarily have to use it just for focus. If you have a tele lens and you wanted to zoom in and out, you can actually do the same thing with it here. And like I showed you guys earlier, if you have the Raven hooked up, which is here at the very bottom, you can control the camera angle and the position of it using your mobile device, or you can use the transmission monitor that DJI also sells. So if you wanted to mount the camera somewhere, if you're the type to want to use this where you're following cars, and this gimbal in this setup might be hooked up to the outside of a vehicle, but you still need to control the camera, you're not able to do that with this system like this. Next thing I really like on both these gimbals is the ability to have those micro adjustments here for the camera, especially when you have different size lenses and you're putting a bunch of attachments on there. Just the ability to move that camera ever so slightly with this knob right here. You can see here, it just moves it just a little bit, and it just allows you to now fine tune the balance on your gimbal. And finally, when you're all done shooting and you want to probably pack up your gear, all you have to do is press and hold the power button instead of just clicking once. And as you can see here, all of the motors collapse and lock, making transporting this thing really slim and easy. And there it is, guys, a quick little rundown of some of my favorite features of the RS4 gimbal, especially if you're using a smaller setup like this. A7S III with a bunch of different style lenses, but of course if you want to go bigger, you have heavier rigs, that's what the RS4 Pro is for. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, a big like would be much appreciated. This is Alton Sacio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.